Hello, everyone. My name is Melissa Tayaba. I am the Vice Chair for Shingle Springs Band of Miwok Indians. And today we're going to go ahead and start it off with some songs. So I just want to welcome you to my homeland, the Nisenan Pewanan. And we're going to start off with some songs.
Hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Holy, holy, you am a heart. Holy, holy, you am a heart. Hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Holy, holy, you am a heart. Holy, holy, you am a heart. Hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Holy, holy, you am a heart. Holy, holy, you am a heart. Hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, hey, you am a heart. Hey, you, hey, hey.
Oh, thank you. You guys are more than welcome to come right over here in the center. Okay. So, welcome tribal leaders and representatives, tribal citizens, legislators, staff, and colleagues and guests. My name is Melissa Tayaba, Vice Chair and Director of Traditional Ecological Knowledge for the Shingle Springs Band of Miwok Indians. It's an honor and privilege to welcome you all here today to the homelands of my ancestors, homelands that span 7 California counties, including Sacramento and its river systems that extend throughout the Delta and beyond. Today we stand on the unceded lands of the Nisenan Pewanan people, the territory my great-great-grandmother Pamela Clenzo Adams was born in, lived in, and whose spiritual presence can still be felt. Because of her, her fight, her resilience, her survival, I am able to stand before you today as proof that we can and we have survived the worst California laws ever thrown at us. My ancestors overcame genocide, and because of that, I am confident that together we can prevail over unjust water laws, projects, and power structures. It is a deeply moving and powerful feeling to look out and see so many Indigenous and non-Indigenous people alike gathered together today to advocate for water justice, equitable water laws and policies, and to be the voices that have been left out of these critical discussions and decisions for too long. Today, we stand in solidarity, working toward common goals, advocating for the rights of tribes and marginalized communities on the important issues impacting us all. We are more than the survivors. We are the protectors. We are the restorers. And we are the collective guardians of our lands, waterways, our resources, our livelihoods, and our cultures. Today, we remind them that we are still here and that together we create change. Thank you.
You? Okay. Thank you, Vice Chair. So we're gathered here today to talk about several things, but mostly something that involves all of us. If you look around here, and you're going to hear speakers come up here today that are from all kinds of different groups. You're going to hear tribal representatives speak. You're going to hear disadvantaged community representatives speak. You're going to hear conservation groups representatives speak. And you're going to hear fishing communities and fishing group people speak. Now, what do all those four groups have in common? What do you think? Water. And what they have in common is a distaste and a distrust for how water has been handled in California, the management, and what it has done to our environment and to our fish species and to our habitats and to basically California itself. That's what we're here for today, and that's what this Day of Action is about. And I want to note that Governor Newsom is not here today. Governor Newsom is in Utah, I believe. You know, he spent Sunday, I believe, in Montana, and Monday, I believe, in Idaho, and today, hello? Today, he's in Utah. Hey, he's messing with the mic. And what I wanted to point out is he's not here. And this Day of Action was noticed and permitted over 3 months ago. So they knew what was coming, and they knew who was coming, and they knew what we were going to talk about. But instead of being here to talk to a broad cross-section of his constituents that go across many groups, many interests and all that, about what the policies have been in water in California, he's out rubbing shoulders with Republican constituencies in those red states. So that's what he thinks. What I'm going to do is I've got a couple things I have to talk about later on and some statements that some other people have asked me to do. But instead of go over a whole bunch of things on this page here, which I was asked to do, those are going to be covered by a lot of other speakers as they come up here. So what I would like to do now is I want to thank all of you for coming. I want to thank all of the organization that was done in order to put this thing together as we get going. I have 1 minute anyways, and I was almost done. See, I see the sign. I can read sign. My ancestors read sign. We read lots of sign. I can read that one too. I would like to invite Vice Chair Melissa Tayaba back up here, and she's going to talk about voluntary agreements.
Thank you, Gary. So I want to thank all of you fierce advocates here today who are making your voices be heard, who lobbied the legislature in opposition to the governor's infrastructure package, including asking for the removal of the Delta Conveyance Project from the package. I also want to thank the leadership of our legislator for hearing our concerns and ensuring the DCP was not included. We still have a long road ahead to defeat this project, and we will keep fighting it. But we are grateful for the legislator's support in taking this first step in the right direction. I also want to state for the record again that the Shingle Springs Band is in strong opposition to the Delta Conveyance Project, as it is a direct threat to my tribe, our history, culture, cultural resources, natural resources, sacred sites, and our way of life. We know this project will negatively impact our ancestral homelands, disturb and destroy sacred sites, cultural resources, and further endanger our fish, wildlife, and plant life. The ground disturbance caused by construction of the tunnel threatens the resting places of tribal ancestors and the habitats of our birds, fish, and animal relatives. Our gathering places for our traditional foods, medicines, and basketry materials are also at risk. The air, water, and ground pollution caused by the various construction elements of this project can cause harm to the plants we use as basket weavers, as well as the health of our weavers, as pollutants can be absorbed and ingested in the basket making process. We know the health of the Delta is already damaged and in need of repair. There isn't enough water flowing into, through, and out of the Delta. Hello? Okay. Due to the historic trauma of the Delta, the degradation of water quality causes our plant and animal life to suffer. We know there are at least 6 fish species in the Delta that are currently endangered, including winter run Chinook salmon and spring run Chinook salmon, which are significant traditional foods that tribal people have fished, prepared, and eaten since the time. This project only further threatens their existence and our ability as tribal people to continue our traditional ways. It is not a matter of if the proposed construction and operation of this project would disturb the remains of our ancestors, destroying village sites, cultural resources, landscapes, and our historical and traditional items. It is a matter of when, and we cannot accept that. We will continue to fight this project. In terms of the voluntary agreements, we cannot support a negotiation process that was an exclusionary process that left our tribes, Delta communities, and the public all
Got a mic with a cord.
The state is going against its own policies and commitment to consult with tribes on matters impacting our communities and tribal citizens. We also know that the VAs are not offering a solution to the ecological crisis in the Delta, as the agreements fail to provide adequate environmental protections our watershed, fish, wildlife, plant life, and traditional cultural resources require. We need more flows, not less. Our salmon, which are a vital traditional food source, are already endangered, and the proposed VAs do not provide them any protection, but would put them further at risk. We call on the Newsom administration to honor its own apology to tribes and commitment to righting the wrongs of the past by engaging early and often with tribes on all matters impacting us today, especially when it comes to our water, culture, our lifeways, our identity, and our well-being. Thank you.
I'd like to bring up now
Checked.
Ivan Slobik.
Got a cord.
Testing. You got a cord?
I got one with a cord you might be able to plug in.
Testing. I don't want to get in front of the speakers. We get feedback. Hello? 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 Is it working? Is it working?
Oh, it is now.
No, it's that one. Hello?
I got a cord if you want to plug in with a cord.
Now we got it. Check.
Stand Okay. Ivan Sobek, the TIPO Tribal Historical Preservation Officer from Buena Vista Rancheria.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ivan Seenock. I am the TIPO and Cultural Resources Director for the Buena Vista Rancheria Miwok Indians, whose ancestral territory is here and extends into the southern delta.
Check, 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 check.
Hello? There we go. Again, Buena Vista is here on ancestral territories all the way down into the southern delta. Miwok, Nisenan, and all the indigenous groups recognize water.
You guys ready for the cord yet?
Water is life. That's better.
I think what's happening is
And
a
it
lot of other
flows from the tips of the mountains all the way out to the waves of the sea. The delta is a traditional cultural landscape that all tribes identify with, that everyone eats, feeds, lives, and breathes in. Buena Vista is opposed to the Delta Conveyance Project and all other mismanagement.
Kind of like this microphone.
They just don't like it.
I'm gonna try to find a clean signal.
Try our best out here to represent all indigenous folks who are connected to these waterways. We connect even to the people who are guests on this land, including myself. The words I tell you, the words I speak come from elders I have sat with and jobs I have worked with all indigenous people. Natural flow regimes are the priority and should be the priority of everyone in the Delta to ensure the health, safety, and wellness of everyone who touches the Delta, the guests, the traditional peoples, the ancestors, and the descendants from all of us. Buena Vista here supports the traditional knowledge and the care for the lands that only now the government recognizes. We continue.
Okay, we're on a clean signal. Thank you.
We continue to work against adversities. We continue to grow traditional knowledge. We continue to help and restore everyone.
Oh, here it comes.
Hello? Again, we're trying. We continue to try. We continue to represent all Native and Indigenous perspectives within the Delta. We consult on multiple and numerous projects every month, and we request early consultations to respect the sovereignty of all Native and Indigenous peoples. My department, I oversee 7 different divisions who try to restore, respect, and engage with further traditional knowledge, traditional sovereignty, and tribal ways. We are here today to represent and to speak to those all who will listen, to benefit the tribal peoples, to benefit all of Californians, because a bountiful, protected, and natural delta is the best thing for California. It is the best thing for all peoples in California, because this is the land we share, this is the land that has been here since time immemorial, and this is the land that will continue to care for us and to care for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'd like to call up Jason Jackson Reed. He's the Executive Administrative Assistant for the Hoopa Valley Tribe. Are you here? I'll hold the mic for you.
Oh, I got a stand too, by the way, if anybody needs it.
Let's go sit right here, if that's fine. Okay.
Sure.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. Hi, my name is Jason Jackson Reed. I'm here representing the Hoopa Valley Tribe. but also I'm a descendant of the Karuk and Yurok tribes as well. And first, I just want to thank the Miwok people for welcoming me here, and it's beautiful land. And I came in last night, and I haven't really spent too much time here, but I love it. It's good country here, so thank you guys for your guys' hospitality. Really appreciate that. But yeah, I just want to come in support of the Miwok tribe, and let them know that we stand with them in solidarity. And like previous speakers before, water is life. It's something that we hold dear to us. That with the fish and the land, we believe as Hupa people, as Karuk and Yurok people, that our social well-being and our physical, our cultural, our spiritual well-being, it all runs parallel to the salmon. And if the salmon aren't doing good, we're not doing good. And you see that, you see these diseases that are plagued in these salmon and plagued in our people. We have diabetes, we have high blood pressure, we have addiction, we have suicide. And that all started, when these dams and these mismanagement, came into play. And we're still hurting, and it's not going to change until, the natives, start writing the narrative, and we start re-indigenizing, management. Until we are the writers and the holders of this narrative, it's not really going to get any better. And really, it needs to happen. They need to re-indigenize their way of thinking, their management practices. Then will we start seeing a change? Then you'll see our social well-being start to improve. But right now, you see, I know back on the reservation, we're plagued with this drug of fentanyl. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. But we attend more funerals than we do birthdays this last year. It's been devastating. We have to choose, which funerals to go to, because also there's a pandemic that's still in place, and I believe still in place. And so that it's very hard, to have to pick that, to have to go to funerals and see, our family members more than we, go to see them at birthdays, our graduations, our baby showers. It's traumatic, and it's this intergenerational trauma that's still the cycle, and we need to break that cycle. And I think it starts with giving the narrative to the natives. If you do that, I think you'll start to see an improvement in the land, in the water, and also in the people. We need to keep biodiversity. You see, if you have that diversity. Oh yeah, see, he doesn't like this talk either. But yeah. I just want to let you guys know that, I'm here representing the Hupa people, and also I'm descendant of the Karuk and Yurok tribes, and, reiterate what I just said, that, our well-being runs parallel to the salmon, and if the salmon aren't doing good, we're not doing good. And it starts with those sacred sites that, for us, it's our fire pits, those are ignition points, and we start up there at those high parts of the ridges, and we put some good fire on the ground, and in return you get these nice robust, for us it's acorns, and with that, the deer come, and then we harvest the deer, so it improves not only the biological, well-being, but our cultural well-being. We're able to get out there and harvest deer, and if we keep that up, I think people will start being able to practice their culture more than on the street, drinking alcohol or doing fentanyl, however they consume that. But I think it all starts right there. I think we're in an era of restoration, rebuilding, revitalization. And so I think if we implement that and re-indigenize, these management practices, that that's a good starting point right there. Again, thank you to the Miwok people for you guys' hospitality, and the Hupa tribe stands in solidarity with you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Artie Valencia, will you come up here, please, too? Okay, you're going to speak right after me here. Our next speaker was going to be Barbara Paragon-Perea from Restore the Delta, but she has some family issues that didn't allow her to come today, so she has asked me to read the first part of their statement and Artie the second part of their statement. So here goes. I have been asked by Barbara Paragon-Perea to read the following statement. She is on emergency family leave caring for a sick family. Restore the Delta is here today to express its deep disappointment in Governor Newsom. His Delta policies and overall California water management decisions are unjust for people. His voluntary agreements, which are nothing more than backroom water deals for his big ag political contributors, are a continuation of racist policies built into the California water rights system. This government industrial ag collusion continues to deeply harm California tribes, the frontline communities of the Delta, and the San Joaquin Valley's depleted drinking water communities. Plus, the Delta Tunnel is clearly not a climate change project because the governor needs the voluntary agreements and cites reservoir to fill up the Delta Tunnel with stolen water. Like the state auditor said, the Department of Water Resources does not possess accurate climate water modeling data. DWR and the governor like to declare their projects are about climate change and social justice. But you can't solve California's climate problems without bringing water supply into balance with industrial ag. Governor Newsom likes to talk about red states failing with their unjust policies. But, next page. Depleting rivers of salmon for mismanaging water during drought to create the salmon shutdown permission for fishermen is unjust. Leaving San Joaquin Valley rural communities, now the wind is coming, with contaminated drinking water while protecting big ag is unjust. Building dams that won't stand up to climate change rather than restoring floodplains is unjust. And leaving Delta frontline communities with dangerous, toxic algae that threatens public health for hundreds of thousands of people is unjust. Governor Newsom needs to put his own house in order regarding California water policy and stop worrying about the rest of the country. He needs to restore the Bay Delta and its watershed rivers with flows today. He needs to stop wasting time with the Delta Tunnel. Here you go.
Here's this paper. Hi everyone, I'm Artie Valencia, and today I'm representing the next generation of climate water leaders from the Delta. The Newsom administration only responds to the Delta community's climate water needs sometimes, and only when there is an enormous public pressure put on him. First, his administration left out 40% of the Delta from needed FEMA relief, despite localized flooding during recent water storms, until we got loud. Second, he actually tried to cut flood protection and floodplain funding needed to protect the state's most vulnerable flood community, South Stockton, until we got loud. And then he tried to circumvent governance and small d democratic processes to force through the Delta Tunnel until we got loud. He left us during the drought with such low flow conditions in the Delta that toxic algae became a huge water and air pollution threat to the Delta's large environmental justice community. And we are still getting loud because he is failing to lead, failing to protect people, failing to restore the Delta, and failing to restore rivers for salmon. But my generation is not going to let him continue down this path. We will stop the backroom water deals once and for all by uniting, voting, protesting, and advocating. Thank you.
Come on, get loud. Get loud. Yeah, they're in session. We've had legislative visits today, so get loud. Now I'd like to bring up Morningstar Galley. Vice Chair, Pitt River Tribe, and also on the board of Save California Salmon. And she's going to talk about tribal water rights, and I hope she talks about murder, mayhem, theft, and genocide.
Sasulai. Is Albert Tittman here? Wanted to ask for Albert to come up and join us if he's here. Chimisanwi, my name is Morningstar Galley. I'm currently serving as Vice Chairperson for Pitt River Tribe. Pitt River Tribe is located in northeastern California, up by Mount Shasta. Our borders are from Mount Shasta to Mount Lassen, up to the Warner Mountain peaks, up to the Medicine Lake Highlands. Our water from the sacred Medicine Lake Highlands, Satitla, flows down into the Fall River, which flows down into the Pitt River, which flows down into the Sacramento River, and down to the Bay Delta. And so we've had a fight against proposed geothermal mining, geothermal energy development of our sacred waters. Even in English, the name of our lake is Medicine Lake, that the settlers and colonizers recognized the healing properties of our sacred waters, recognized that, we used that lake in a way that it provides natural healing properties still to this day. This past year when we went, and I brought my children, brought my family to our sacred waters, it was the lowest levels that have ever existed. And there is no regulation in terms of motorboat usage on the lake, in terms of the number of campers that it is managed by Bureau of Land Management and U.S. Forest Service that are doing a very poor job of managing these waters. So I talk about this because any effect that we have within our sacred waters directly affects the waters that flow down to the Bay Delta, that flow down to the San Francisco Bay. And so it doesn't affect just us as Native peoples, it affects all of us. And so we're here today to stand for protection of our water. We're here to stand for protection of our sacred animal relatives. Within our Pitt River, we have dams on our river where PG&E has failed, still 80 plus years later, they have failed to fulfill their promise of putting fish ladders on our dams. So we as salmon people, the tribal flag for our peoples is 3 salmon swimming in the cycle of life. And we haven't had salmon within our rivers for almost 100 years now. So there's an intrinsic relationship between the health of our peoples, the health of our salmon nation, the health of our relatives that are dependent on those peoples, dependent on this way of life for us. And so we say that, we recognize that we are out of balance in this way, that our peoples and our lands and our sacred waters are out of balance. I wanted to ask Albert to come up and share at this time. We are grateful to our Nisenan and Miwok relatives that are here. We thank them for allowing us to be here as guests on their land. And so I just wanted to share some of my time here with Albert, who is both Miwok and Pitt River, and grateful to our elders for continuing to teach us and share with us in this way. So, Sasulai.
Oh, big O for Morningstar. Yeah, those of you that don't know, and if you don't, I don't know where you've been. But Morningstar is my relative from my grandmother's people. And I've known her for some time now, as I've come back to, following our ways. And when I say following our ways, I'm globalizing that as tribal people across this country, but specifically our California ways of living and being and believing. And I feel honored and blessed that she would invite me up here to share some of her time, because today I came to listen. I came to have an open heart and an open mind. But what I do know, and I know this because I was born Native and I will die a Native man on this land, where this capital sits, is the land of my ancestors. And we're surrounded by water here. Literally, this land right here is surrounded by water. In any direction, there's rivers flowing, lakes and streams. And there's one river that's named after Miwok language. It's kos umne. And if you understand that word literally means salmon people, or people of that salmon water. And it's just to the south of us. And guess what? There are no salmon flowing in that river. There's no salmon thriving. There is most seasons, especially with the drought, the water sits dry. And it's sad because we know that there are other reasons. And this Delta Tunnel project has been proposed for a long time now. And here it is, it's still here. But ancestrally, our people knew the relationship with our water. Our people understood that we are water. That if we're standing now, and we're talking centuries later, to protect the very same belief, values, not opinions, facts. It's kind of a sad state to be if I was a part of the United States government. And so today, I honestly stand with my relative here and saying we have to call it for what it is. We have to call it for what it is. This is an act of ongoing genocide. This is cultural genocide, is what it is. We can talk about historical trauma, what happened in the past. We're learning from it. Now we know what it is. Intergenerational. Some of these things have been handed forward. And now here we are, our generation. And we're standing here saying, we're still fighting. We're not gone. We're still here. We're not going away. As a matter of fact, we're growing in numbers. We're growing in strength. Land back. And that includes water, right? And so colonization is real, We're all colonized. I'm colonized, and I laugh and joke sometimes and say, I'm not giving up my house with an air conditioner. And about 2 weeks ago, my air conditioner went out. So still waiting to get that fixed. So that part of colonization I'm holding on to. But as far as fighting and standing for what I believe in, and all of you, I'm looking around and I'm pretty sure you all believe in the value and the medicine and the relationship we have with water for ourselves and for the future generations, right? And I have 15 grandchildren, 15, and there's still more to come. And so when I'm long gone, I want my great-great-great-grandchildren to know and understand and value these things we're laying down for them. That their great-great-grandfather stood for what he believed in and lived it. These things are easy to teach, Ralph Troy Hatch, when you live it, right? You live this prayer. This is a prayer. We believe we're prayerful people. And that prayer means we'll be assertive when we need to with this prayer. We believe in this culture. We believe in these ways, these teachings. There's a sister here right now, Sage Lapina, she is what some people in the English language would say, she's a medicine woman, but she really carries those cultural teachings of our ancestors. She's an amazing person. And she works with, and she teaches what we're talking about here, the relationship with all things, earth. And so, again, I could go on and on. I could talk all day, but it's time to rise. It's time to fight. It's time to stand with, even if it's just on your lunch break. Hey. So please sign in, leave your contact information, because we are going to be messaging all of you, contacting you, and hope for future events like this. We'll get more and more folks showing up. So thank you, Kamu. Thank you.
Sasulai to Albert, to the many tribal peoples who traveled many far distances to be here with us today. I know there's a number of tribal leaders here. There's a number of tribal peoples that will be speaking later. Just want to end by saying that the governor's office has promised California Native people truth and healing and taken some positive steps, but he's made a lot of decisions that favor agriculture over all other interests. We cannot have truth and healing for California tribes and drive salmon into extinction and dewater our rivers. And so that's why we're here today. We're standing here today in solidarity. So thank you to all of you that showed up to be here with us. And we look forward to gathering together in this way again. So tolocoito.com, all my relations.
Oh. All right, I'd like to bring up now Regina Chichizola, Executive Director of Save California Salmon. And I don't know if I said the last name right, but it was close.
It was close, yeah. Thank you. Hello, my name is Regina Chichizola. I'm with Save California Salmon. I came here today with my son Malcolm, who's here somewhere. And we drove over 6 hours to get here today to talk about, one, yes, we are going to stop this Delta Tunnel. This is ridiculous and it affects all of our rivers, and together we are going to do it. Because people are powerful. I live on the Klamath River, near where the Trinity River goes into the Klamath. And the Trinity River, a lot of people don't know, the largest tributary to the Klamath is diverted into the Central Valley Project for Westlands Water District to grow almonds. Over hundreds of miles away, and they took 90% of this river for so long until the Hoopa Valley tribe and the Yurok tribe fought for generations to get water back in that river, and that water is now threatened that is in that river, and it's the only thing keeping the Klamath salmon alive right now. And it's threatened by the Sites Reservoir, and it's threatened by the Delta Tunnel, and it's threatened by these new Department of Interior biological opinions that will take more water out of the Trinity and go against any co-management that the Hoopa tribe has with the Bureau of the Bureau of Reclamation. So I just wanted to bring in the fact that so many of our North State rivers are diverted into this watershed, and so we stand together as people whose waters all come together into the Bay Delta, into the San Francisco Bay, and into the Klamath River. But the people are powerful. We are so powerful that we can stand up to people like Gavin Newsom. He over and over again sells us out. He makes trailer bills that takes away our public comment. He supports Trump water plans. He supports Trump administration plans for our watersheds, and then he tries to say that he's a good guy and he cares about racial healing. But we know that's not true. And so we're asking him to change. We're asking him actually to stand up for truth and healing. We're asking him to protect the Sacramento River, the American River, the Trinity River, the Klamath River, all of our rivers, the Bay Delta, the San Francisco Bay. Right now, there is almost no salmon in our rivers. There's no commercial fishing. There's only a couple thousand salmon that can be harvested by the 3 largest tribes in California. And that's because Newsom made the decision with the State Water Board to kill the fish. We went to those meetings. We asked him not to. All the science was done. He knew he was killing the fish. He knew he was creating toxic algae for Delta communities. And don't think the Department of Interior and the Department of Indian Affairs don't know that they're also hurting our rivers. But the people coming together were enough to take down 4 Klamath dams, and they're coming down right now. And they said it was impossible. They said that some Native people on the Klamath River would never take down 4 giant dams. They would never defeat the might of Warren Buffett, who owns those dams. We went to his house. Thomas Joseph, who's going to talk later, went to his house and said that he will take these dams down. We went to his meetings, and we're going to do the same for Sites Reservoir. We're going to do the same for the Delta tunnels, and we're going to do the same every single time Gavin Newsom tries to take away our rights to engage with our communities and our rights to restore our salmon. So thank you so much for having me, and I'm so excited to see everyone else who's going to speak today.
Thank you, Regina. Michelle Rivera, Project Assistant, California Indian Environmental Alliance. And I know you're hearing a lot of tribal stuff, but we have other people that are going to talk. It's okay. Just hang loose.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all for being here today. As he said, my name is Michelle Rivera. I'm the project assistant at the California Indian Environmental Alliance. We are a nonprofit organization that collaborates and supports California tribes in protecting water quality and quantity. We have worked with tribes since 2006 to advocate for tribal beneficial use designations. We have supported California tribes in the TBU process because we firmly believe that tribes are the first water rights holders who deserve access to their waterways without having to worry about their health or issues of accessibility to those waterways. Tribal beneficial uses were developed to protect the health and well-being of California natives. TBUs are meant to protect tribes when they are fishing, harvesting cultural plants, or performing ceremonies near or in the waterways. We support tribes in their development and tribal beneficial uses because tribes deserve to have access to these waterways. Tribes deserve to have clean water. Tribes deserve to be able to fish and not have to worry about their health. Tribes deserve to be protected and healthy. I've come here today to bring attention to tribes and their natural rights to water. Since time immemorial, natives have stewarded the land and have continuously fought for the protection of water, land, and air. The Newsom administration has proposed a Delta Conveyance Tunnel to be built, and tribes have continuously opposed the construction of this tunnel. The California government has continuously ignored the pleas of tribes about this Delta Conveyance project, and administration has even gone as far as renaming this project in their efforts to get this project built. The Delta Conveyance project will be diverting water from the Bay Delta watershed to Southern California, draining the little water left in the Bay Delta and diverting it. This project will take millions of dollars to build and maintain and will cause additional damage to the salmon industry, cultural resources, and ecosystems that are already collapsing. The Delta Conveyance Project can and will destroy remaining sacred sites and traditional use territories California tribes still use and will lead to the eradication of their culture and cultural sustenance. I hope that by bringing attention to what this project is and can do to tribes and how it can harm the health of tribes and other disadvantaged communities, you all will see the need to oppose this project. 2 things we would like to see happen after this day of action are to include tribal beneficial uses and water planning updates and ensure those uses are protected. Secondly, to support and acknowledge tribal water rights. It is not enough to apologize and to set beneficial uses. California must acknowledge that tribes are the first-in-time water rights holders and work with tribes to use these water rights in setting in-stream flows and protect significant species and tribal beneficial uses. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Michelle. Gloria, I'm going to skip the script here for a second. And I want to invite up Sarah Bates, Golden State Salmon Association, John Rosenfield, San Francisco Baykeeper, and Brandon Dawson, Director of Sierra Club. You all come up here, please. Yeah, come on up here. You know, we've heard enough tribal stuff now. Throw some of this other stuff out there. Come on, you guys are smart. All right, we're going to start off with Sarah Bates here because she was up here first. And Golden State Salmon Association.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. I am here as an invited guest of the Golden State Association, but more importantly, I have a small salmon commercial fishing vessel that is operated out of San Francisco. And it's the 5th of July, yesterday. Parades, fireworks, you know, general national violence. But when I sat down for dinner with my family, I had pork chops. What was missing? What's missing from all of our barbecues this year? Where's the fish? Where's the salmon? Where's my fresh local salmon? Today's my baby's first birthday. She's not eating salmon tonight. There's a huge conspicuous absence, not only on the barbecue. There's an absence in my fish hold. There's an absence on the docks in San Francisco. There's an absence in our markets because there's no fish in the ocean. Why are there no fish in the ocean this year? Because there's no fish in the river. Beginning of July is supposed to be good fishing. Fort Bragg, Shelter Cove, the fish are getting bigger, the weather's getting nicer. These are like the glory days of being part of the commercial fishing fleet. There are horrible, horrible parts of being part of the commercial fishing fleet. It's dangerous, it's sometimes terrifying, it's hard work. I have all of my fingers, which is a blessing. But the middle of July is supposed to be part of the glory. And we catch 3-year-old fish in most of California and Oregon, generally. And most of them come out of the Sacramento River system. Fish that we should be harvesting now were offspring of the spawning adults in the fall of 2020. California was experiencing severe drought in the fall of 2020, but much more devastatingly, we were facing the Trump-era water policies that gutted the federal protections for our fish. And the state of California, they got in line. They just followed the lead. In 2019, SB 1 would have given the state new tools to resist those Trump administration rollbacks of environmental protections. Governor Newsom vetoed it. The governor has delayed and continues to delay the State Water Board's Bay Delta update process for flow and temperature standards. The governor has endorsed and promoted these inequitable, exclusionary, and inadequate voluntary agreements for years, with no basis in science. And just 2 weeks ago, the governor pushed a package of budget trailer bills designed to permit unlimited new water diversions from salmon rivers during the high flow periods that these fish need, and to cut corners to build this Delta conveyance project. And so, I'm not done yet, but thank you. And so, fall of 2020, the nests, those were dried out before those eggs even got to hatch. There was not enough water in the spring of 2021 to push all those baby salmon into the ocean because the Newsom administration sent it all to the powerful ag interests. Now we're belly up. Commercial fishing families, coastal communities, ports, buyers, markets, river guides, all of the Californians who deserve to access our public natural resources. Cut that part out. $1.5 billion, 23,000 jobs, thousands of small businesses like mine. And a lot of these policies decisions seem complicated, but from where I am, it is very, very simple. We're sacrificing the Sacramento River system. We're watching while the breeding habitat and the salmon populations and the salmon jobs disappear. Governor Newsom, we need you to let the state board do its job. The Bay Delta standards are 29 years old. They're failing. We need a new plan. We need flow and temperature protections to protect our rivers, and we want to go back to work. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is John Rosenfield. I'm a fish ecologist and the science director at San Francisco Baykeeper. First, I want to say it's a real honor to share this mic with people who fight to protect their communities and California's rivers every day, and whose ancestors have done that for generations. Francisco Bay is home to 6 endangered fish species. A recent analysis indicates that California is poised to lead the world in fish extinctions. Off our coast, orca whales are also endangered, starving to death because California's rivers no longer produce enough of the Chinook salmon they rely on for food. People are suffering too. As you've heard here today, the very survival of several California tribes and fishing-dependent communities is jeopardized by low returns of Chinook salmon. Delta communities suffer through toxic algal blooms every summer. It doesn't have to be this way. These are man-made crises. The overwhelming volume of science shows that our fisheries and San Francisco Bay struggle because we take too much water from our rivers. In an average year, people divert or store half of the water destined for San Francisco Bay. In dry years, that percentage increases. So while Governor Newsom and major water diverters like to blame the demise of rivers and fish on droughts wrought by nature, the truth is that our water problems are caused by unsustainable water diversions. There are many potential solutions to fix California's fish and water quality crises, but every viable option involves increasing river flows by reducing water diversions substantially. Unfortunately, the Newsom administration ignores all the evidence pointing to the need to use water more sustainably. Indeed, Governor Newsom is the champion of a status quo that caters to powerful water districts while public fisheries decline and marginalized communities suffer. For example, in his first year in office, Newsom practically invited Donald Trump to destroy Bay Delta fisheries by vetoing SB 1, which would have upgraded state environmental protections. Just 2 months ago, Newsom released a torrent of budget trailer bills aimed at reducing environmental review of water diversions and greasing the skids for harmful projects like the Delta Tunnel and Sites Reservoir. Throughout his 4.5 years, Newsom has blocked the State Water Board from updating river flow standards in the Bay Delta Water Quality Control Plan. Instead, he preferred to negotiate voluntary agreements behind closed doors with the very water districts that divert so much of California's fresh water. Over the past 4.5 years, the governor has not once met directly with Central Valley tribes, Delta communities, fishing businesses, or environmental advocates in order to understand what we know is needed to protect San Francisco Bay and its tributary rivers. Nor has he accepted our offers to envision and implement creative solutions. Working exclusively with powerful water districts to divvy up the state's water has been business as usual in California since the mid-19th century, and Governor Newsom has leaned into this inequitable and unsustainable status quo. But endangered means there is still time. Governor Newsom can still come to the rescue of fish, wildlife, and river-dependent communities. He can encourage his water board to quickly adopt and implement science-based river flow standards for the Bay Delta. And he can stop engaging in the predatory delay that serves only entitled water districts. There's still time to put California on a course to water sustainability, but San Francisco Bay's fish and wildlife and the communities that depend on them cannot survive much more of Governor Newsom's status quo. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Brandon Dawson. I have the privilege of serving as Sierra Club's California Director. Today you've heard from powerful voices from tribal nations, environmental justice communities, and conservation groups and the fishing community. And one thing is very clear. Governor Newsom's trajectory for water policy is dismal to California's future. Real water solutions are needed in California that must be community driven and must benefit the communities that they're housed in. They have to provide resiliency in the face of climate uncertainty and enhance, not take away from, communities and ecosystems. It's time we need to put it's time we need to put an end to wasteful spending of taxpayer and ratepayer dollars on environmentally destructive water projects such as the Delta Conveyance Project and Sites Reservoir. Instead, let us direct our resources towards water recycling, urban storm capture, efficiency measures, and other repurposing of marginal agricultural lands that we know shouldn't have been there in the first place. We have the power to reduce California's demand for water and build a sustainable future, not only for my generation, but for generations to come. The state can't do this alone. True progress requires engaging with our communities, listening to their wisdom, and government consulting us in the development of these 21st century approaches rather than projects from the 1950s. Governor Newsom must be an ally to the conservation, tribal, environmental justice, and fishing communities. This means he must start seriously listening to us and engaging with us and working with us, and that includes everyone here today. My last call of action, right over there, is all your legislators. Visit them today. Let them know what you want and how you want it. Thank you.
Okay. Gloria Alonzo Cruz for Little Manila Rising. I saved you to see the best for last. There you go.
I hope so. Hello, everyone. My name is Gloria Stephanie Alonso Cruz. I am representing environmental justice communities in South Stockton with Little Manila Rising. I want to thank everyone for showing solidarity for water justice today. I stand here today in recognition that we're all present to fight the state management threats to the ecological system that nurtures all of us. The climate crisis magnifies its system vulnerabilities, inequalities, and blind spots, especially evident in California's Delta. Mismanagement and diversion of fresh water flows have made the Delta a sacrifice zone, endangering the lives of over 500,000 residents and its unique ecosystem. Take the toxicity that plagues the Delta as an example, as it was mentioned earlier. Neon green waterways caused by longer, hotter, reduced fresh water flows and fertilizer runoff. Stagnant warm waters create ideal conditions for toxic microorganisms to thrive. It sounds like a beautiful, really sad poem, right? By the same token, the recent storm season exposed the vulnerability of Delta communities to intensify storms driven by climate change. Outdated levee systems connected to the Delta endanger frontline environmental justice communities. The lack of investment in flood control exacerbates the issue, yet the state prioritizes freshwater diversion over resident safety, promoting a tunnel around the Delta for decades now. The state water management plan for the Delta, essential for protecting water quality, hasn't been updated since 1995. It fails to consider the estuary needs, the impact of climate change-induced floods and droughts, leading to the state waiving water quality standards during events of environmental emergency. The latest Delta Tunnel proposal overlooks the growing threat to droughts and further diverts water, risking a water crisis. The state possesses the necessary tools and authority to safeguard the Delta and its people from climate change impacts. The Federal Clean Water Act, the State Porter Cologne Act require updated Delta water management. However, the state appears more concerned about profiteers' interests than environmental justice communities and tribes who we stand before, treating the Delta as their personal resource. As a reminder to interrupt this perpetual state of environmental crisis, we must start by understanding that, and you can repeat with me if you wish, water justice is tribal sovereignty. Water justice is tribal sovereignty. Tribal sovereignty is ecosystem health. Tribal sovereignty is ecosystem health. Ecosystem health is human health. Ecosystem health is human health. As a closing statement, I want to express that I stand here in recognition that we must honor and protect tribal stewardship as we heal and create new relationships with the Delta landscape. In recognition that without justice for indigenous people and indigenous landscapes, we have a long way to go to achieve environmental justice for all. Thank you.
Did I tell you I saved the best for last? Thank you, Gloria. Closing the press conference speaker list. We've got another speaker list coming up after that, so don't go away. We also have some dancers and some singers. But I would like to ask you all a question. Did you hear anything here today that you didn't know before? Raise your hand. Did it change your perspective on how things are done in California? Yes or no? Yes, raise your hand. Are you going to address your legislature now because of what you heard today? Raise your hand. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I know everybody here appreciates that. And I want to tell you that this is a great day for our organizations, because standing side by side today are groups that have been pitted against each other by the state over the last 20 and 30 years. The state has pitted fishermen against environmentalists, environmentalists against fishermen, disadvantaged communities against tribes, tribes against environmentalists, all so that they could divide and conquer, and so that none of us could ever see what the real goal was. Well, we all see what the real goal is now, and they can't pit us against each other because we're here standing shoulder to shoulder and side by side, and our message is the same. Water rights, water management in California must change. Thank you. I'd like to call up now Regina and Morningstar. They've got some other speakers that they're going to have, and they're going to introduce the dancers. And thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Yes. Okay. So I just want to say thank you again to everyone for being here. We have some tribal representatives that are here to speak to you. If we were following our protocol for California Indian peoples, we would have all of our tribes as the spokespeople that would be first up before the grassroots groups, before the coalitions, before the community-based organizations. It's our tribal leaders that we would be hearing from. So for those of you that are here and participating, just sharing that as a gentle nudge and reminder that we will have our tribal leaders and spokespeople always present first. At this time, I want to bring up Chairwoman Louise Miranda Ramirez from the Ohlone Costanoan Esselen Nation. Louise Ramirez is on her way up. Chairwoman Ramirez was participating in the lobbying sessions earlier today. She's traveled to be here from her Ohlone Costanoan tribal lands to speak with us, and we're very honored to have her here with us.
I could have gone to you, huh?
Sorry, I said Miranda.
Oh, it's okay. Sorry to say, Niamasia Pasaleki, which is thank you. My heart feels good for being here with all of you. I come as two separate people. I come to represent my people of Monterey County, and I also come to represent a new group that I met. Well, they're not a new group. I'm a new person to that group, and that's the Tribal Marine Collaborative. I learned a lot about water from them and the need for us to protect, and realized that I was protecting. Within our homeland in Monterey County, we have the Salinas River, which is part of our creation story, and we have the Carmel River that was almost destroyed by California American Water by taking excess water. And now they're trying to do a desal plant and on land that was already on the coast disturbed by a Cemex plant who was selling all the sand and destroyed the coast there. And so now CalAm is trying to buy that and put a desal plant, which we've stood against. And there's a lot of controversy to water rights and learning about protecting the marine areas and protecting our oceans, protecting our fish, protecting the kelp, having it all come back, and then working for my people as well, because these laws being passed are to protect federally recognized tribes, right? But we're not a federally recognized tribe. We need to be included in this as well, because we're out there protecting our homeland, our rivers, our ocean area, and they cannot take away the rights to our waterways and us protecting them. So I asked that when we were going lobbying is to talk about including non-recognized tribes in this as well. When we talk about non-recognized tribes, one of the things I know is everybody talks about the 18 treaties and how they were hidden and how they were found by Congress. And then the C.E. Kelsey came out to identify the landless Indians of California. When he went into Monterey and Carmel and went to the Carmel mission, there was no one there. Our people had already left in 1905 and were not in the missions. And so he was told that there was a group at the Sur Rancheria. And so he went over there, and to my genealogy, I am lucky that our family lineage was the only family identified as Thomas Santos Miranda, his wife Maria Inez Agnes Garcia, and his son and daughter as the Monterey Band of Monterey at the Sur Rancheria. Now, I don't say that I am the only family. I'm saying we were the only family identified by name, and that we know we belong there. So our fight continues for our land and our rivers, and we're still out there. And for people to listen, to know who we are, that we haven't gone anywhere. And I can continue forever, because I thought that lobbying was going to be so hard. I was afraid to do it because I had not done it before. And we went into these rooms, and we were lucky. Our first one, we weren't sure how it was going to go. And she was really nice, and she listened to us. I don't know what she's going to do, but we were able to express everything that we found. And then I said, well, let's go visit all the people that I know from our tribal areas. So the newly elected assembly speaker is Robert Rivas, who represents our homeland. But he was busy, and hopefully we'll call back and make an appointment. Then we just see Ash Cortese. That's about how I know him. And he was in session. And then we went to see Ash Clara, and he was so kind and came out and met us and talked to us. And we know they're going to meet with him. So there are people who listen. Don't be afraid to go do this, and step up and do it, because we can do it. You know, all of our words are important. And so be ready to share them. And I want to share something with you that our people usually read. If I know what I'm doing, never know what I'm doing with these phones. I need to. How come it's not going? There it is. Oh, it's hard to read in here. No, that's not going to do it either. So, Nisheveh lekalai, Lady Wanomatsa lekalai, Kominan lekalai, Takari let cha alai. Mashapa let cha alai, Ewai Mikano let lala cha alai, let Efehe. It's hard to see in here, sorry. Mawipa lai, let Maui lai, let Ewa Mikano lala Maui lai, let Efehe mefpalai, let mefpalai, let Ewa Mikano lala mefpalai. Let kapek efehe, let cha'a, let efehe cha'a, let cha'a, let efehe, let cha'a, let kalai, let cha'a, let kalai, let cha'a, let ewamikano lala cha'a lai. A little bit. Oh, could be. Okay, now translating. My people, we are here. Our homeland, we are here. Everyone, we are here. Yesterday we lived here. Today we live here. Forever we will live here. Our people sang here. We sing here. We will always sing here. Our people danced here. We dance here. We will always dance here. We are one people. We live. Our people live. We exist. Our people exist. We are here. We exist. We are here. We exist. We will always exist here. Let Kalai. And that is for all of us Indigenous people. We're never going to go. We're all going to stay at our homelands. Remember who you are. Teach your children and let them carry forward, because we will be here. And time goes by fast, and make sure your children know who they are. Make sure your grandchildren. And I have my granddaughter here, and I am so proud of her, right there learning, and she brings her daughters, so our great-grandchildren are here, and it's time for our children to know who they are and protect our lands, all of ours. And when I say our, I mean all Indigenous people. Thank you.
Oh, thank you to Chairwoman Miranda Ramirez for those words. From Ohlone Costanoan, Esselen Nation, OCEN, please look up their information and support them. Louise, not from, excuse me, for tribal members and relatives that are from non-federally recognized tribes, they are not afforded resources for travel and to come here to these events on behalf of their tribal nation. And so supporting them and figuring out a way to help to support the efforts that they're continuing in protecting their sacred places and protecting their sacred waters is very much needed. It sounds like Sapenapo dancers and singers are ready, and so we will ask them at this time to come forward. And so for Sapenapo, when you are ready to come forward, and we will have Spencer Sacred Places Institute for Indigenous Peoples will be up next speaking. Thank you again.
Thank you. Haku, Spencer Kakti, Kleken Hil Siokdon, Hil Kapapanish, Homaloch, Hinachalamu Hilimu. Hello, my name is Spencer. I'm with Sacred Places Institute with Indigenous people, for Indigenous people, and Smuich Chumash, and also Bay Miwok and Ramata Shaloni. But I grew up Chumash. And I live in Santa Barbara, which is now, I live in Siokdon, which is now being called Santa Barbara, and before that, my family lived on the island of Limu, which is now being called Santa Cruz Island. We're a nonprofit based in Los Angeles, Tongva Lands, and we're working towards getting land back and water rights and land rights for our people, for the Chumash, Tongva, and Hachman folks, because we are all non-federally recognized tribes, so it's super hard to do anything in our territory. So I know there's been a lot of talk. I'm gonna sing some songs. The first song I'm gonna sing is a salmon song, which is actually from our inland band from Kuyamu, and talks about coyote uncle trying to lure a salmon. Yeah, that'd be great. Because he's hungry, but he's like, "Come on, come see your uncle." Can you raise it? Awesome. Cool. Let's go back a little bit. Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, so first I'm going to sing a salmon song, and we also we feel we want to support all the tribal nations up here in their efforts to protect their waters. We fully understand what it's like. Our tribes in Southern California and Central California are definitely feeling the effects of concretization in our rivers and damming on our rivers. And unfortunately, our salmon and our Seaho trout don't run in our rivers anymore. I think it's been hundreds of years since they've been in our rivers. The Ventura River, which our word for is Utam, that dam, the Ventura River Dam, is supposed to be taken down within the next couple years. Hopefully that, the government follows through with that, and we're hoping that our steelhead trout will return and our salmon will return to our rivers so that we can fish and feed our people again. And the second song I'll sing is a momentum song that our people sing when we paddle, when we're hiking, or we're in hardships, and we need to call on our ancestors to give us ushka, to give us strength, and power and medicine to help us move forward in difficult times and in hardships. So I want to call into that song as well from my ancestors in Santa Barbara and Siokton. Epko, 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 watch, epko, 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 watch, tots. So poto, water, so poto, water, so pono, wopo, so pono, wopo. Epko, 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 watch, epko, 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 watch, tots. So poto, water, so pono, wopo, so pono, wopo. Epko, 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 watch, epko, 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 watch, tots. So poto, water, so pono, wopo, so poto, water, so pono, wopo. Epko, 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 watch, epko, 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 watch, tots. So poto, water, so pono, wopo, so poto, wopo. Epko, 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 watch, epko, 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 watch, tots. So poto, water, so pono, wopo, so poto, water, so pono, wopo. Oh. Sorry, that one song's always hard. I don't know that language. It's all the way in the valley, and I'm coastal, so. Lual welele, lual welele, lual welele, la yuawile, la yuawile, lual wele, lual wele. Iyo meno kakutap wile iyo wa ya meno kakutap wile iyo wa ya meno kakutap wile iyo wa ya meno kakutap wile iyo wa tu palinu nan howot lual wile le lual wile la you are we hele, la you are we hele, lual wele, lual wele. Iyo meno kakutap wele iyo wa ya meno kakutap wele iyo wa ya meno kakutap wele iyo wa ya meno kakutap wele iyo wa tu palinu nan howot lual wele lual wele le lual wele la you are we hele, la you are we hele, lual wele, lual wele. Iyo meno kakutap wele iyo wa ya meno kakutap wele iyo wa ya meno kakutap wele iyo wa ya meno kakutap wele iyo wa tu palinu nan howot lual wele lual wele le lual wele la you are we hele la you are we hele lual wele lual wele. Oh. Thank you, Kaki and Alan.
Oh, for Spencer and Sacred Places Institute for Indigenous Peoples. I want to invite now the dance groups up in a pole to come out. We're going to clear out this middle area here. It's really hard to dance on concrete, and so we're going to invite our relatives over here to the grass area that they can dance out on the earth, and so have them come out now so that they can share. Oh, absolutely. Okay, and we will have a number of speakers after we have the dancers, so please stick around, please visit the information tables and stay with us until 2 p.m. Thank you.
Manahu Inaniani Priscilla Kinney. Aikui Nekna Priscilla Kinney. Hello, my name is Priscilla Kinney, and I am Paiute in Shoshone, originally from the Owens Valley. And I've been living along the Klamath River, along the confluence where the Trinity and Klamath Rivers meet. And I have my daughter here, Tsiaba Kinney, and she had a message that she wanted to share with all of you. You like to say it? What she said was, she told me, please don't kill our fish. Please bring back the water to our rivers. My daughter here, she thrives on salmon. All my children do. It's healing for our bodies, our minds, our spirits, and this is something that we need in our home. Another thing that we would like to share is that cutting out diversions is restorative justice in real time. Practicing this restorative justice in our communities is going to benefit all of you. So really consider these decisions. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We've got 1 minute each.
Okay, as we bring our singers, they're getting ready to come out. We have 1 to 2 more speakers that are going to share. And again, please stay after the dance group so that we can hear the rest of our speakers. We've got some really incredible folks that traveled a long way to be here. Thank you.
Naknow Ruthie Maloney. I am Yurok and Navajo. I come from the villages of Wetchpoose and Turep, which is up in Wichpeck and Klamath, California. So I am a Yurok tribal member. I am the founder of the North Coast Native Protectors and the Tribal Marine Collaborative. I was born and raised on the Hoopar Indian Reservation, so I know firsthand how the diversions have affected our people throughout my lifetime, and that is why that's why my work has been on water. And when I was growing up on the Trinity River in Hoopah, the water diversion was 90%. It went down to 70%, and now I'm glad to know it's at 50%. But I've seen what has happened to our river in my lifetime, and I just urge and I beg the state to do something about our water situation. Our tribal people need to have water to keep our culture alive. It's important. Water is life, and I wish that people would understand. Without that, we're going to cease to exist. And it would, as our Yurok tribal people, once we lose our salmon, we will no longer be a people as well. We're losing those salmon. We've had fish kills back in 2002 that took out a lot of, because of the water flows and because of the temperatures and because of the agriculture input from Upper Klamath. That's what causes those agricultural blooms to grow. So again, you've got Clear Lake, you've got all these agricultural wineries that are contributing to the desecration of our water quality and killing our relatives. We're all related to everybody around here. So I just want to say thank you, and I'm going to keep this short. Wakla.
Hi, my name is Kathy Buchanan. I'm with the Tribal Marine Collaborative, and I'm going to keep this short. It's about the water budget. So the state of California has neglected to account for water losses, which is detrimental to the health of the rivers. And with the addition of the diversions that they are now proposing, it makes it even worse. So the water budget does not include water losses through clear cutting and through the abandoned mine open pits we have over 100,000 abandoned mines throughout the state of California. And in the open pits, there's water in those open pits. Where is it coming from? In a drought state, where is that water coming from? It's coming from the mountains. The clear cuts, the direct connection to the groundwater are the trees. The majority of our forests here in the state of California are pine trees. The roots of the pine trees go down 75 feet, which means they get their water from the groundwater. When you clear cut, you destroy that link to the infiltration into the aquifers. And in dry years, when we used to have water running through the creeks, where did it come from? It came from groundwater. No trees equals no water, and we have living histories that prove it, known as the Sahara Desert, Mojave Desert, Death Valley. We need sustainable forest management practices. We need no more mines. The state of California is proposing thousands more mines because of the rare minerals that they want to get. No, we do not need that. And we need sustainable forest harvest practices. We also need mandatory water conservation for big ag. No more flood irrigation. Agriculture uses 80% of the usable water in the state of California. They need to be held accountable. We cannot have the agricultural producers that transport or export the products overseas and takes all of our water for their overseas markets. That is unconscionable. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to our relatives that traveled from very far distances to be here. At this time, we're going to head over to this sparse grass area and have our dancers come out. And then please join us and gather in this area.
You want the mic stand?
Thank you.
Just kind of keep the mic pointed away from the speaker so you'll get the feedback.
Testing, testing.
Hey, is this okay or no? The video? Gonna squeeze by you too. I don't want to crowd you out. How's that?
I hear an O for the Zapenipo dancers? Oh! Did they want to come up and share some words? No. They're from the Clear Lake area. I see Gary waving. So we still have a few more speakers. We'll go and move back to the top. But again, a big O for our dancers and singers.
Oh.
That's how we show appreciation in our Northern California tribal community. So I know you all can do better than that. A big O for them.
Oh.
At this time, we're going to have Trish Carlson come up. Trish Carlson, are you here? And then after Trish, we'll have Thomas Joseph and Dana Rose. Can Thomas and Dana Rose come up, please? Okay. We, that Shingle Springs provided some snacks and water here, and so please feel free as you start to prepare your travels back that they have snacks and water and items here for you, so please come and grab some.
Good afternoon. I want to thank, hello, okay. Testing, okay. I just want to thank all the previous speakers that spoke before me, especially the indigenous peoples of the land that we're on, as they have shared with us that this is unceded indigenous territories. That's a very key term, unceded, meaning that these lands of California were stolen, that these lands of California were taken from indigenous peoples without their input, without any agreement that we can see across the United States with other indigenous tribes, Native American tribes, First Nations peoples, as they had treaties. But here in California, this is stolen land. And so one of the first purposes of why we come to these spaces as indigenous peoples is to raise that awareness that what we're facing today is nothing new. It's something old that we have been dealing with since contact. That the colonization of our lands continues on today by not only the theft of our lands that happened in the past, but the theft of our water. And that the continual genocide is still taking place. And when the most marginalized communities are being affected and we don't raise their voices up, then we're not completing the whole picture. And so what my sister here stated earlier, the importance of indigenous peoples leading these spaces is extremely vital, because they will demonstrate to you what is going on within the state. They will demonstrate to you that as indigenous people know, we have always been in a reciprocal relationship with our Mother Earth. And one of the key indicators of when our communities are ill, like my brother from the Hoopa Nation also shared earlier, when the salmon are ill, the people are ill, because it's an indicator of where we are as humanity. And so when the salmon are ill, the indigenous people are ill, there's your future. That's what's coming to the rest of California. That we are now experiencing a continual colonization across all aspects. And here we have our Governor Newsom, which is nothing new. He's the same old tactics, same old tricks. And as he's going across the United States, talking to red states and talking to constituents there on how their governors are unjust and how their governors are plaguing their social injustices within their own states. Look at your own state, Newsom. Look what you're doing to the people of color within this state. Look at the indigenous peoples and the lives that you're devastating because of your direction and because of your colonial policies. We're an example of that. The indigenous people of California have withstood these colonial tactics. We have continued to raise the importance of the health and well-being of our lands, of our waters, of our fish, of our traditional foods, because that's what makes us strong. And when, as the salmon are an indicator for indigenous peoples, that's your indicator as well. If you want a strong society, you want a strong state, then reach out and lift up those most marginalized, which is your indigenous population. The state of California has agreed to abide by the United Nations Declaration Rights of Indigenous Peoples. And in that UN DRIP, in that declaration, it states that indigenous peoples will receive free, prior, and informed consent of all actions that are taken within their territories and within their communities. This has not happened. We have seen how these water negotiations have failed to let us address these issues at the table, has failed to listen to our concerns and our points. Yet we have manicured these lands for thousands of years and developed a system, a mechanism that not only benefits the biodiversities of our regions, but also our communities. And this is the knowledge that needs to come forth. This is the knowledge that's being left out of those negotiation spaces. And so we declare that the state of California must abide by UNDRIP. We must have free, prior, and informed consent of indigenous peoples. These decisions need our input, because when they have our input, then will come sustainability. Then will come a social justice movement that also understands the importance of environmental justice. Again, Governor Newsom is taking his tour to parade to run for our next president. But don't be fooled. These social injustices that we see across the United States are rooted in environmental justices that's happening within our own state. And so thank you for your time, and thanks for being here.
Thank you again to Thomas Joseph. And Thomas is here representing the Indigenous Environmental Network. At this time, we'll have Dana Rose come up. Dana Rose from Klamath Justice Coalition. And then next after Dana, we'll have Gia Moreno from the Hood Community Council.
But first, we're going to have Ada Stevenson from Indian Water Commission. Boom.
Okay, hi Ada. Ada Stevenson from Indian Water Commission is going to speak with us now. And next up, we'll have Dana Rose. Is Dana still here? She's hiding. Okay. Here she is. She was hiding.
Good afternoon. My name is Ada Stevenson. I'm president of the California Indian Water Commission here in Sacramento. We are vehemently opposed of tunnel construction of any kind. It'll be the largest illegal water diversion in the history of California. One of the things that we are keep highlighting is that the racism and prejudice that are in the policies of California against tribal people, but also people of color and minorities, and those are stuck in poverty. People that are in poverty have no voice, and they really don't count according to this administration. So I really want to stress that people get out and vote, make your voice loud, and be proud. We are the backbone of California. Water is not only life, water has been treated as a commodity without spirit. Water is the most powerful spirit there is. And if you don't understand that, then you're just existing and you're not living. The policies written here in California is the exportation of water or exploitation of water from Northern California to Southern California, who has does not have to change their, what's the matter? Oh, that the construction industry in Southern California does not have to adhere to water shortage. They continue urban sprawl for miles and miles. Cities running into each other. It doesn't matter if they don't have the water. People come. The water that's taken from Northern California is actually a very active way to continue cultural genocide. Cultural genocide, my friends. We're not talking about only economic genocide. We're talking about cultural and tribal genocide. And you're probably asking, how do you do that? Well, first of all, I'm a traditional hunter. I'm a traditional fishing lady. I'm also a traditional gatherer of medicinal plants. If we don't have water, how can I teach the children, the grandchildren, the young people in our community This is how we hunt. This is how we fish. We are now the history standing before you. We are only but to be a memory because we don't have the water that sustains those deer. We don't have the water to sustain the fish. We don't have the water so that our medicinal plants can grow. Everything that we know in this generation will be lost if water continues to be exported to Southern California. Because they're in the city, they're urban people. They have no need to hunt, to fish together. They have everything at their disposal in a supermarket, in a co-op, somewhere. In Northern California, we don't have that luxury. We have to drive for hours and hours to find a store. And we're darn lucky if it has electricity without it being turned off. And I salute that the people who fought for years and years for the coming down of the dams. But we know that it's only the beginning, because we know the algae buildup throughout those centuries of water behind the dam is poisonous. We know that the tribes that depend on those, the Kuruk, the Yurok, and the Hupa, they have decades ahead of them before they will be able to eat healthy fish again. So their economy will be it just won't be there. Their culture of fishing and smoking salmon will be gone. It'll be a memory. But in the big picture, for all of them and all of us down here in the Central, it's the greatest victory. But with every victory, there's tears that are fallen for those that have dedicated and made that sacrifice. And so we should never forget the people that came ahead of us who sacrificed their life, their votes, and the future of their generation so that we can have a better life and that the fish will come back. And we are charged as tribal people. We're raised by the hope as little people that we're here to take care of water, all the land, the trees, and in my tribe we have flying squirrels, but we have clear cutting. So every tree they cut down is a habitat destroyed, and in my lifetime, all of our kids will never see flying squirrels anymore. And they may not mean anything to a lot of people, but they are history to us. They are our stories in the true sense of if there was no once upon a time, they still exist. But we have clear cutting in our area. What does clear cutting do? It destroys the ability of the land to retain water. So don't think that there's no connection. There truly is. And we talk about the disturbance of water being misdirected, mismanaged. Well, what happens to our winged relatives in the sky? Their migratory paths are also diverted. So think about that. One stream going one way is diverted. It affects the soil. It affects medicinal plant. It affects the ability of water, trees to retain that water. It affects our language because we don't have words of diversion in our language. We don't have the things that are negative. We have to translate that in English because English has a word for everything. Everything horrible, they got a word for it, but we don't. And we continue to think positive. But in these turmoil times, we ourselves have to sacrifice how we feel against what we have to do. What are we doing? We're standing here today voicing opposition to the tunnels. We're standing here voicing our opposition to illegal water diversion. We're here standing here to talk about we want the Water State Control Board to have enforcement and have the willingness to say big corporations, it's more than a couple of $100 fine. We want to hurt you on behalf of the people of California. Tribal people here, we are citizens of more than one country. We are citizens of the United States, but more importantly, we are citizens of our own tribes. Therefore, we will always have an allegiance to our people, to our relatives north and south, before we become California citizens. Thank you for your time.
I am Kogro from the Hoopa Valley tribe.
I really didn't want to get up here. I've been here dozens of times, fighting the Undam the Climate campaign. So we can really undo the Delta, I figured, because we really got the Klamath dams going down. And it only took 20 years, so I didn't think it was going to happen in my lifetime, but it's actually doing it. So you got to keep the faith. You got to keep the faith. Everything is possible. Dreams are made to come true. So as long as we're fighting for clean water, I think we're gonna win the battle. But I think we all need to come back with Newsom's in the state and bring all your friends and all your relatives. One of the things that I really wish that would come true is the California what do you call the diversion, the Central Valley Water Project. I think we needs reconstruction, and also think the Bureau of Reclamation needs reconstruction and put some native voices in there. I think we really can do it if we push hard enough. So that's our next job, Thomas. Thank you guys. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you to Dana Rose and Ada Stevenson. They traveled really far away to be here with all of us, and thank you for sharing your words. At this time, we'll have Gia Moreno from the Hood Community Council come up and share some words. Thank you, Gia.
Oh, thanks. I want to thank everyone for giving me this platform to speak. I'm Gia Moreno. I'm from the town of Hood, which is right on the Delta. We are ground zero for the tunnel project. Our town will be literally wiped off the map if the tunnel project goes through. We are a small town of mostly indigenous and Latino residents. Our people are from the Southwest. We're from southern Colorado and New Mexico. And when my ancestors and my relatives came to Hood, they built the town up from a series of small shacks, and they built the agricultural community that surrounds Hood. Most of our residents are elderly, they're low income, and so my family has allowed me to be the voice for them in this fight. I get to work with a lot of really great people, and so I want to bring awareness and not take away from the other issues, but when we're looking at these massive water projects, the first communities that go are the indigenous communities. They are the communities of color. They are the lower income communities. And there's no regard for our well-being, for our safety, for our longevity, and for our legacies when it comes to looking at big ag or Southern California. I wanted, again, like I said, to bring awareness to the fact that not only will the tunnel take from the Delta, but it'll wipe us out. And there are no places for our elders to go. Everybody in the town is pretty much related. And there isn't any hope for us if this project goes through. So we feel sympathy with our friends that are at the area by Sites Dam would be with the same regard to, it's a life or death situation. It's a life or death situation for the environment and for the salmon. The project, it's very short-sighted. They're not thinking about what the future will be for our children and for our grandchildren. They're not looking at the environmental impacts and the social impacts 10, 20, 50 years from now. They're just thinking about water needs in the immediate, even though the tunnel project could take up to 20 years to build. So again, I'd like to thank you, and I would like for everyone to adamantly oppose the tunnel project, the Sites Dam project, and to support the restructuring of the state water projects, because they are deeply flawed, deeply racist, and I don't know what the word would be for, they don't care about the poor people, essentially. So thank you.
Thank you so much to Gia for representing the Delta communities, allowing tribal peoples to speak for themselves and on their own behalf is definitely key. It's messing up. Cassandra Curl. Is Cassandra Curl here to speak? And then after Cassandra, we'll have Ken Montez, Senior Tribal Elder in Tippo for Big Valley Pomo. And Hilo Ramirez. I think she said Hilo Ramirez from Machupta.
Hestum relatives. My name's Cassandra Curl. When I'm went to my creation story, my tribe's creation story comes from Mount Shasta. We believe that the salmon gave us their voices, and it's our responsibility to speak for them. I apologize for the tears. My ancestors make me walk with my face. In our Winnemem language, the word for salmon is nur. And I wrote a poem that was recently submitted to When Nur Speak. It was a beautiful art exhibit that we held in Shasta County. I'm gonna try to read it. The title of my poem is Nur by Fire. In the frigid snowmelt, life begins and ends. A long, purposeful journey felt in every scale and fin. Navigating downriver, hundreds of miles to go on their path to the ocean. It's the only way they know. Following the songs of the people and the map of the stars, the vibration from drums and dancing provides proof they know where they are. Our ancestors had a connection that our hearts cry for today. We sing, dance, and speak for them, and at ceremonial fires we pray. The health of the river and all that it connects can be felt throughout villages and all that have respect. From the top of the mountains, our spirits call with desire to lead our relatives home by the light from our fires. Chalabeskin to the Miwok people for allowing us space in your ancestral homelands. The reason we're gathered here, the reason why we speak, is because we are answering the calls of our ancestors. We're also laying down a path for our next 7th generations. I thank you all for being here and appreciate you through my tears. Thank you, sister.
Sosole, thank you so much. Regina, I know they mentioned there was one more speaker. Oh, Montez, Ron, as I apologize, that's what's written down. I apologize. Valley Band of Pomo Indians, Tribal Tippo and Elder.
Thank you. Duwe nami kudi e. Good afternoon. How are you? Wakshi e, Ran, Montez, Buchik e, he Chabenapo e. My name is Ron Montez. I'm an elder from the Chabenapo tribe, the Rock People tribe. Chabe, Napo. Chabe is rock. Napo is our village or our people. We don't have these surnames like Ron Montez. That was given to me because of when the Spanish came, the Mexicans came, and they raided our villages and took all our men. And they made them their property, their slaves, and their free laborers. Then they went back and took the women and the children.
So our names dictate who we belong to. But my name is, my wife wants to call me Khatsia, which means mud hen in my language. A coot wants to call me that, from Habenepo. Our people had names according to your skill, and then they would talk about you at different places saying, you know that man that likes to eat mud hen, his name is Khatsia? And they'll say, oh yeah, Khatsia from Habenepo, the rock people, over by the village where all the rocks are. That's how we knew each other. So today I'm here because I'm standing with all of you, that we are a people that have been looked down upon, less than human, less than, or just barely above animals. We were treated with contempt. There was a bounty on our ears and our scalp to prove that the first governor said they wanted to eradicate all the native people from this land because they wanted our land, they wanted our resources. The Creator had other purposes for us. He placed us in all these different places, all these different villages, and He gave us resources that we would be fed from, that we would be nurtured from, that we would learn how to use the different resources for our clothing, for our shelter, for our regalia, as we give thanks to the animal kingdom, and we give thanks to the birds and our elders. These are our elders standing here right now. They have witnessed things that could tell of our history. And so all of those natural things that you see are related to us. Those are my relations. These are my relations. We just live in a different place. We're all one body, one blood, one people, Hintal people. That's who we are. I wanted to say a prayer before I leave, and I'm going to say it in my language and interpret it. And this is prayer for all of us, that we go from this place being inspired and to know that we do not fight alone. We do stand together in our spirit, and our ancestors are watching over us, and they're proud of us for bringing this voice out, speaking on behalf of those that have gone before us, and speaking of those who cannot speak for themselves, our nature, our food sources, our resources that Creator has given us. So I would like to start this prayer. It was taught to me by my uncle, who was a little over 100 years before he died. In our language, O Wahadika means creator. So, O Wahadika, Mi'inal Habaokma, O Creator, our hands are raised to you. Wea Hinto Napoe. Come and bless our native people, our Hinto people. Wea Hinto Napoe. Wea Masane Patuke. Wea Kauke. Bless our black people, our white people, and all people. Wea our kus and our kawi, our babies and our young ones. Wea our ach and gacha, our grandmothers and grandfathers. Wea our buchike and dakara, our elders, our elder men, buchike, dakara, our elder women. Wea maaya, our food. Wea our water. Wea our bishe, our meat. Wea our soy, our bread. Wea our sha, our fish. Wea in our language means that spirit wind. We're asking it to come close and bring blessings to these things. Wea, Ma'ea, this ground, that ground, all the ground where you live. Wea, Ma'ea, the land that we put our foot upon, that you gave to us, and it was there to bring life to us and for us to take care of it and manage it and all those resources in it. And the last thing we say is we say, oh, that means our amen. That means we all agree. So could you say that with me? 1, 2, 3. Oh. Oh. Thank you. Thank you.
Sasulai Taran Montez, Tipo for Big Valley Rancheria of Pomo Indians. I want to say thank you to all of you for being here. A special shout out of happy birthday to Kim Diocampo. I don't know if she left yet, but happy birthday, Kim Diocampo. She came and celebrated her birthday to be here with us today. So happy birthday to her. So thank you to all of you. And please visit the California Water Coalition websites and Save California Salmon websites. Thank you.